Hi, and welcome to Kerem Talks, the Kerem House podcast. I'm Daniel Gindis. This podcast is powered by the Israel Forward Foundation, and today we're sitting here with Shmulie Weissler, an Ole, someone who has started a business, possibly a number of businesses. He does the Tefillin challenge, where he puts Tefillin on camera in different places for 1,000 days, and has some really cool stories for us. So before we jump into it, Shmulie, tell us a drop about yourself so that whoever doesn't know you can know who you are.
Sure. So, thanks for having me. As Daniel said, we are good friends. And a little bit about me: I'm, 33. I moved to Israel 16 years ago, kind of in middle of high school with zero guidance. Ran into a lot of different emotional issues that had to be worked out, and then had to start learning about career, not just how to get a job, more like what that is, what the purpose of a job is, which I found out is to pay your bills, which I found out what those were also, you know.
Yeah, no one tells you what bills are. Just
I didn't know any of
reach for the stars. You can do anything and be anything.
So, being from a bit of a colorful background, let's call it, and having to learn everything on my own and being a bit of a hard-headed, stubborn person, it was quite a journey learning all that. Um, and I had to learn how to get jobs, how to keep jobs, how to, move forward in companies. I had to learn about concepts that I didn't know existed, but I wanted to know they existed. I've always been ambitious. I just never knew how to know what it is I was looking for. We didn't have ChatGPT back then. I couldn't talk to it about a bunch of different concepts and it'll give me a name for it. Um, so I've been through easily over 30 different jobs here.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've easily been fired more than 10, between 10 and 15 times, which is another reason why in the business I don't teach people how to keep jobs, just how to get them. That's an important factor. When I give seminars or webinars, I specifically tell people I can give you advice, but it's not based on any experience. When it comes to getting jobs, that's based on experience.
It's very interesting though, because if people look at it, like there's the way to say like, okay, I've been fired from 15 jobs, but you're saying, but I got hired by 30 jobs in
Yeah.
this period, and that means that you are very good at getting hired. Maybe not as much as keeping the jobs, but that in itself is a type of expertise.
It's not just that, it's how I got those jobs. The reason I came up with this method of how to get jobs is because something stood out to me. I was curious. I said, I don't have an extensive experience. I literally ditched my education. I don't have anything on my CV that's worth talking about. Yet somehow I continue to get interviews and ace interviews. And the issue that I keep hearing on the market is people can't get interviews. That's the number one issue, by the way. Everyone complains that they cannot get interviews. So I said, well, if I study what I'm doing and compare it to them, I can figure out how to help them. That's the long story short.
That's a
Yeah.
really interesting starting point. So I'll say first of all, on the area of jobs, something that we have some experience with. But also we run teacher placement. We've helped dozens of Olim get jobs as teachers in over 40 schools in Israel. So getting people jobs and giving people jobs is probably the top reason why people stay or don't stay in Israel. So that's really a type of holy work. And I guess the question then is, why did you go on to create a website instead of doing a getting hired seminar or service? Like taking the plunge into being a job website that has its unique angle is both risky and interesting. So tell us about that.
It's a good question. Goes into more proprietary. I'm kidding. I'm just going to get into it. But the idea of my website is to have a unique approach where instead of me doing webinars to teach people how to get jobs, because I developed a simple method where the website is actually going to take you through it. We're currently in a very early stage of it where the website does look like a standard job platform, but it is growing and we are going to be introducing more tools. They're obviously going to be AI because today's the day of AI, but it doesn't need to be AI. It's a simple set of tools that if you follow them, you will get a job. It's a guarantee, the same guarantee that sales companies will tell you. If you make X amount of calls, you'll make X amount of sales because they have the numbers to show it. And like we don't have the numbers concrete yet because we haven't been around for that long. But it's the same concept where everyone we work with, if they follow this simple method, they do get a job.
That's probably the biggest promise in the business.
It's a big one. And most organizations and most professionals out there don't believe it, which is fine. We're going to prove it slowly. They don't believe it, which is why we're currently working alone.
Well, first of all, to anyone listening, this is probably the biggest promise we've ever heard on the podcast. So definitely, I'm definitely curious. Is there stuff you can tell us about this, or is this all
no, I can tell you the whole thing. None of it's secret.
Okay.
It's an 8-step method, but if I were to sum the entire 8-step method on one foot, as they say, it's comparing every step of the way to sales. It's very simple. Like, I, as somebody who did not have a career, learned sales, just like everybody who doesn't have an education goes into sales in order to get their foot in the door with any high-tech companies. I learned how to do sales. I'm still, till today, not the greatest salesman, but I have gotten pretty good. And what I noticed that I did in order to get those jobs was just compare the entire thing to sales. I'll give you a couple of examples. Okay, every step of the way, whenever you have a question, just compare it to what you would do as a salesperson, right? So I sent out 50 applications yesterday. I sent out 50 applications over the last week, haven't gotten any response. Here's the obvious question that any salesperson would ask you is, where did you follow up and how?
Mm-hmm.
Job seekers who aren't professional salespeople, but are professionals in other capacities on levels that I will never reach and don't expect to ever reach to, they have no idea what that is. And that's just one out of, 8 steps that people miss.
That's incredible. Like to make that kind of connection. Someone who also has done sales. It's like, yeah, why? Like, call them, bug them, remind them. I know people who just because of the second time that they contacted the employer, like, oh, we missed your CV, and they checked, that just like really jumps it forward. That's a really interesting concept, and I think so. Right now, for job seekers or for businesses, how does it work? Does it like they have to pay for postings? Is it free?
Businesses pay a flat fee in order to post on the website. Recruiting companies that hire me as a recruiter pay a different fee. That's more of a one-on-one conversation. The normal amount for that is a commission-based payment of 1 month's salary, and that's a very different approach. That's where I really take them on. And as well, being a recruiter gives me insight into what it looks like on the recruiter's end. So when I sit with a job seeker and I explain to them what goes on the other side of things, I actually know what I'm talking about, right? And the follow-up stories that I had in my personal experience would shock anybody, but they would never shock a salesperson. And that's how I know I get jobs easily. That's exactly what I do. I decided one day I was tired of sales, as salespeople do. They get tired and they decide, I'm going to do something new. So I said, you know what, executive assistant looks like a cool job. I'm going to become an executive assistant. I rewrote my CV, where I wrote experienced right-hand man because I was not an experienced executive assistant. I don't believe in lying on my CV, but I was experienced at being a right-hand man because every job I had been in, I'm a helpful person. And I help my manager take care of things. I reached out to a recruiting company. I won't mention their name. They're considered like, between the Anglo recruiting companies, they are one of the more, I'm going to say snobby, but in a good way. Like they're difficult to get in touch with. I emailed them, I sent them my CV, and they didn't respond. So I followed up, and I followed up, and I followed up. They didn't respond. Then I'm like, why am I being so silly? Like, I'm going to reach out to them on LinkedIn. No answer. Reached out again, no answer. And I'm like, Shmuli, you're being an idiot. You know who they are on Facebook. Just hit them up on you know who she is. Just message her on Facebook. So I did, and she didn't answer. And I followed up, and I got an interview. I had a job already by the time I got the interview, so I never showed up to it. I just said, I'm sorry, I already got a job. But they said, we'd love for you to come in. To a job that I openly admitted had zero experience in.
Just because you followed up through the email, LinkedIn.
I didn't just follow up, I hunted. But yes, like that's what salespeople do. They hunt. Like, you don't follow up in order to do your job of following up. You follow up in order. I tell people, compare it to bullying in school. I don't know if you were the bully or if you got bullied in school. Usually we were one of them. I thought I was getting bullied. Turns out I was doing both. But like, the bully picks one person at the beginning of the year, and they just obsess about that person. And they'll just bully them and bully them and bully them. And that's how it is in sales. Don't bully people, but you pick one person and you just obsess about them until you get a meeting with them. You obsess, and you figure out any way to get in touch with them. And I'm speaking from experience in sales, not just in in job seeking. Like I've done this with sales. I'll tell you another quick story. Like I was trying to reach people who worked in banks in the States, and I found this woman, and she was clearly of Asian background, but her name didn't sound like any name I had ever heard before. So I Googled the name, and I said, I couldn't find it on baby lists or baby name lists or anything. So I said, you know what, that's my point. Like that's what I'm going to use to get a conversation with her. So I messaged her on LinkedIn. Hi, I'm intrigued by your name. I'm intrigued by your name. And she ignored it. And I followed up and I said, I'm intrigued by your name. Ignored it. I got her email address, sent her emails about how I'm intrigued by her name. She ignored those. I got her phone number, sent her voicemails, left her voicemails about how I'm intrigued by her name, and she ignored those. So then I got this software called Vidyard that allows you to take videos and put the link to the video in the email, and the thumbnail that you choose will show up in the actual email. So as soon as they open the email, they'll see a picture of you in whatever capacity you want. And I held up a little whiteboard that said, I'm intrigued by your name. I got the meeting. She was appreciative that I tried so hard to get the meeting. She didn't even go into explaining what her name was because she was aware that I didn't care. She was aware of that. And she told my boss that I am a phenomenal SDR. And that is how you get a job in Israel.
Wow.
And I'll drive the point harder. I'll drive the point home a little harder. What is a bigger issue for people when it comes to getting, forget just jobs. For Olim in Israel, is language a bigger issue or is a lack of connections a bigger issue?
Second one.
Correct. What do most of them think?
Language.
Right. This skill is developing connections. It's learning how to get in touch with people. While people are worried that they can't get a job in Israel because they don't speak Hebrew, there are thousands of English-speaking jobs available. So obviously that's not the reason. But then why do Israelis have an easier time? Because they're better at connections. Every Israeli's brother-in-law works for Bibi, right? Americans come here, they really don't have connections, and they never had to learn how to develop them. And that's where people get lost. In America, when you have experience, education on your CV, you do your due diligence, you apply to a couple of jobs, things start to come to you. Here, if you're lined up with 10 accountants and you're the friendliest one that can develop trust with the hiring manager, you'll get the job, whether you're the best accountant or not. It's just how it works here.
That's
yeah.
First, I think that in itself, to understand like the differences, I think could be like a very good short or like a video on some platforms. Like the difference is who you know versus what you can do, and that's as I think very much translating from for people who move here from how they're used to things happening to how things actually work here. Spit in a handshake, sand, dust. Very, very cool. So I definitely think on that regard, people have things to follow up, and people can definitely reach out to you. It's definitely, I would say the bring the sales aspect and the full sales attitude to many things in life is very helpful here in Israel. So I would say take a salesman approach to life. Life will be much easier than expecting things to passively come. I've seen people like sometimes in a restaurant or in like a place just like sitting and waiting for someone. It's like, no, you gotta pick your hand up. You gotta say, hey, I'm here. What's up? Because that's how it's done. Like people will not be as upset if you come late to something, but if you stay quiet and don't share your mind, no one is gonna know. Like they're too busy talking already at the next point.
Israelis know how to hear each other when they talk over each other. I don't have that skill. I'm here 16 years, still don't have that skill.
Well, maybe soon,
Yeah. Israelis they can hear each other. When I hear my own voice over someone else's, I glitch and I can't hear anything.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see the communication difference. Actually, I'll tell a story. I have some new Olim who, there was like a group, and they were, I think everyone was here like either 2 or 3 years max, and they tried to like lean their camera on a chair with a timer, and I'm like, there's like 100 people here, just ask someone. And everyone's like, we don't want to hassle them. Or like I stopped on the street, like, hey, you take a picture? Sure, happily. It's like, that kind of, so yeah, make the switch. Don't be afraid. People are happy to help. I've seen like more than once someone fall off a scooter, trip, need help with a stroller. 20 people run to them. Like that's the place. Yeah. Like speak and people are there. People like, and we like, I think to anyone who's like listening right now, it's like, I'm sure, would you be happy to take a picture for someone? Would you open the door? Would you help move a stroller? Great. Give people a sample. That is part of the culture and part of the mindset. So I want to move us to a different direction because we have a lot of things to cover. But for the job stuff, very interesting. Apply sales to life, and that will just keep you like in line for things here. So another thing you do is Tefillin challenge, where you have challenged yourself to put on Tefillin for 1,000 days on camera, right?
Yeah.
So where did that come from? Like that's Tefillin is like something people do sometimes all the time privately in a room with some other dudes in the morning or by themselves.
Yeah. It's a good question. The story starts when I was, I was born into a very Haredi family, and I kind of left, when I did come to Israel at 17, I left home, came here to get away from things, and I had to find myself. And obviously you could see I'm not Haredi today.
What?
Yeah, I know. I left my black hat at home. And I'm also religious. Like at the age of 21, I decided to start keeping Shabbat again. And it wasn't easy in the actions. It was just easy to understand why I wanted to do it. I had that connection. I loved it. I loved that break at the end of the week. I love Shabbat atmosphere. I love it. I started to keep kosher again, and like, I love it. I love it. I'm very lenient on all of them. I make it easy for myself, but like, I keep it and I love it. And something I struggled with for 10, 11 years was tefillin and shul. Going like, I'm just going to be honest. I hated it. I hated it. Like every time I put it on, I feel zero connection to this. I have zero understanding why I'm doing this. And all I know is that every time I do put it on, I get a voice in my head that wakes up from my childhood saying, why didn't you put it on for longer? Or why don't you put it on in shul? Or you let the straps wrap on, drag on the floor. There's a little crack in the black paint. Like, probably you weren't even Yotze today, like, you probably didn't even do that.
Oh, snap.
Can't win. So I've been going through this cycle since age of 21, where I put tefillin on, and I push myself to do it. Start to hate it, put it away, and don't look at it again for like a year. I occasionally pass the Chabad stand, put on the tefillin if I feel like I want to, or if I feel like, someone cute's watching, it is. And about 2 years ago, I said, I'm done with this. I'm tired of it. It's an exhausting cycle because like, it's a lot of emotions involved. Like I start to feel like I want to do it again. And then it's like going back to an ex. Like I'm like, okay, I break up with her. I'm done with her. And then it's fine. It's easy not to message her. And then a year later, I'm like, I'm feeling a little lonely right now. Like maybe I didn't really understand her, but and I give it another shot, and I get hurt again, and then I leave again, and I'm like, this time I'm never going back, and it keeps happening. This is a 10-year back and forth. And 2 years ago, I said, I can't do this anymore. I said, I'm done. I'm playing hard to get. Like I passed the Chabad stand, feel like I want to put on tefillin, and I'd ignore it. I'd move past it. I'd be like, God, we can't do this anymore. We can't have this toxic relationship.
Wow.
And this went on for about a year. I did put tefillin on a few times during that time, but for the most part, I was fighting that urge. The same went for going to shul, which I have not figured out yet. Still don't like going. And then last July, my friend had gotten engaged, and he asked me to help him raise money for the wedding. He's comes from a background, parents don't really have money. He made Aliyah, married a convert. Her parents didn't have, after the entire family pulled their efforts, they were short $8,000. And he was making like a budget wedding, getting everything donated, everything as much as possible. Needed this $8,000. And I said, I'll help you out. I've done this before, I post on my stories, on my WhatsApp status, like people are interested in helping. If it's a good cause and, I don't post too much, they're happy to help. So I decided this time I'll make it fun because I am trying to build my social media. I've been trying to build it for a couple of years. It's not really moving anywhere, nowhere fast, but it's moving a little bit here and there. I'm finding my thing. I said, you know what? I'll put on tefillin one day for every $100 I raise. And a few days after I started, I had raised $3,500. So I owed 35 days. And I got nervous. I said, what if I hate it again? And now I have my word. I can't. Once I owe the days, I owe the days. I got sick with a stomach thing, had to go to the hospital. So for a few days, I couldn't put on tefillin, halachically speaking. And then when I was ready to do it, I was not ready to do it. I was like, I hate it. I'm done. I'm burnt out. But I have to. Man, I'm in a catch-22 right now. This is bad. So I said, you know something? Part of my development of my relationship with God has been taking away the conditional part of it. Like instead of I'll do what God wants because I think he's going to give me something in return, I would like to do what God wants because that's the right thing to do. And I hope that he'll give me what I need in return. And because I expect that from him as well. I expect him to supply me with my needs, whether or not I'm doing what he wants me to do. I like the unconditional relationship. So I said, you know what? I'm going to amend my deal. I will put Tefillin on for 80 days, and you guys are going to raise $8,000 for me. But one is not contingent on the other. It makes me feel better about it. And at the time, I was working from this cafe, so I put Tefillin on there, and I videoed it, put it online, and it went well, and I liked it. And I realized that I kind of found the connection to Tefillin through just no other way to say it, through getting attention. I like attention. I like being the center of attention. And this gives me this connection to it. I said, let's see where this goes. I finished the 80-day challenge and it was doing so well. I said, you know what? I'm going to change it to a 1,000-day challenge. Now that I finished the 80-day challenge, we're doing 1,000 days in public, which I had something slipped my mind then. Like you could scale anything but days. Days is days. I didn't realize that. I was like, oh, I'll get more successful as it goes along. And then the days, it won't actually be 3.5 years. It's going to be 3.5 years. So I started to put it on in public. And I will say that for the first time in my life, I don't feel that hatred towards it and that burnout. And I actually enjoy it. And the biggest shock to me was after this past Pesach, where like you go a week without putting it on. And I put it on and I felt like I missed it so much. I had never had that before.
Wow.
And that's what taught me that like when you want something, especially spiritually, if you put in the work, like you get what you want. And I wanted something weird. I wanted a connection with Tefillin. And I got it. Like I never knew it would come that way. It's such a weird, random way that it came. But I have that, like I have that with me. I'm able to feel that connection to something that I do every day. Well, by the way, the challenge isn't to do it every day. So I do it most days, right? It's just that, I will put it on in public for 1,000 days. I've definitely missed days, but I have that connection to it now. Without the voice, without you're a terrible person because you only put it on for 20 seconds. Afuch, like I get good credit for it. I feel good. It's like I do something and I get credit for it.
That's amazing to create that kind of incentive structure that works for you. And what day are we on right now?
Today will be 241.
241.
Yeah. Got it right here. Right here.
Wow. Did you already put on today?
I did.
Where?
On the way here I don't know the name of the road. It's like a road with a bike lane in the middle and people walk on their benches.
A lot of Tel Aviv roads have bike lanes.
I don't know if you could tell I'm not from here.
Yeah. Do you come here often?
I come here during the week often. I've never spent Shabbat here.
What?
Never.
So you have the best part of Tel Aviv is Shabbat.
I've never done a Tel Aviv Shabbat.
All right, I think first of all you have to come for Shabbat.
I want to know, but like I get nervous. I'm gonna spend it. I keep Shabbat, so once you're here, you're stuck,
dude.
Like you can't
so much Shabbat. We have just for English speakers. We got 5 shuls at least that are
really
packed out. Kiddushes with over 200 people showing up with food, cholent, Suda sheets. There's a large group of like meals where people like go to each other's homes. Plus, their shuls do community dinners. For Kerem House, we were the first ones to try out weekly Shabbat dinners. Like we didn't know that there would be an audience for it, but like
wow.
We said we're willing to try. Want to make sure there is redundancy, and we did it. And a lot of other organizations now copied it. Any week in Tel Aviv, there'd be 2 to 3 organizations doing a Shabbat meal for over 100 people. They're all packed out.
I had no idea there was a Shabbat scene here.
Shabbat scene is nuts. You see it once, you want to move here.
Really?
Tel Aviv.
I thought Tel Aviv was all secular. I didn't know this.
What's crazy is these days, like in the mid-2020s, people still think that there's like no Jewish life in Tel Aviv. People move directly here. They like skip Jerusalem, skip Givat Shmuel. Like they if you're coming here 20s, 30s, 40s, like people leave wherever.
Wow.
Come straight to Tel Aviv.
Sheesh. What about family life? Is there family life here?
There is family life. I would say that it takes a certain, you need to like the lifestyle and find your groove, but there are children's groups from kids 0 to 6,
Wow.
quite populated. People sometimes migrate shuls. There's like the shul you get the entry shul, and then there's the
Oh,
shul that you go to afterwards. But also there's like just so much great programming
I'm in shock.
activities.
I'm in shock. I I'm gonna have to figure this out and come spend the Shabbat
We'll have you come for Shabbos and show you
here.
the whole thing. It's like it really like for Tel Aviv, it's a Jewish Renaissance in that it's a walkable city. There's a beach if you want it. By the way,
Beach is nice.
it's the reason that I live here. It's
Yeah,
like I've lived in Jerusalem, I've lived in
yeah.
Shmuel, I've lived in Herzliya. I tried a bunch of these places. Been for Shabbos. I have like friends different places. Went to Carmel Gat for Shabbat. Like
That's nice. Yeah, I have
it's
friends there too.
it's right for certain
Yeah.
phases and people, but here it just like it's. I will say Tel Aviv is like summer camp for grown-ups. If you walk out on the street, you'll bump into your friends.
Yeah.
You will see people all the time. There's a lot of kosher, a lot of accessibility.
Really?
Yeah, it's really it's just a great city. That's why I came here and I just stayed here. And
Wow.
eventually, by the way, like that part of starting Kerem House was because there's so many people who want to do more events, have more accessibility to connect, and there's just such variety.
It's
And
beautiful that you guys are doing that. That you guys introduced that idea here. That's it's phenomenal. Wow.
like the landscape has changed so much in the past. Like we started Kerem House June 12th, 2019. And in our first, we basically gave free space to people and helped with advertising and also ran some of our own events. Our idea
Oh,
was we're going to do like 3 or 4 events a month, which is a lot for an organization, but we still have all this space. We got a larger part for that purpose. And people showed up. It was the most incredible thing. We did
wow.
226 events in 9 months.
That's insane.
That's 0.81 events a day. And
That's actually crazy.
it's crazy. We couldn't like sometimes we also had a rooftop and an indoor space, and sometimes we'd run an event from 6 to 9, and then from 9:30 to 1, and two spaces operating. Sometimes there would be 4 events in the same. There'd be like an acting workshop downstairs and a board game night upstairs, and
Sheesh.
it was craziest 9 months of my life. And then we had COVID, which was a forced vacation. But when we came back and were active in 2021, like things just picked up. There's a lot of need, especially like and that's that what you said about like Olim not knowing things. Like to get space, it usually seems scary because you need Hebrew, and even if they speak English, they can charge you exorbitant
Yeah.
amounts for a very limited deal, and people aren't used to negotiating. It's like I want to do my birthday here. Okay, 5,000 shekel, and you got to be at it too. But you can say like, no, I'll let's haggle. And people don't necessarily think to that, and that really makes a big difference. So at this point, we have relationships with many venues, and we have different partnerships, and we have like all these interesting events that we're doing.
Wow.
And for us also, like we sort of try with the Kerem House operation, we try to find where there is need. So at one point there was a need for Shabbat meals, Shabbat programming. Now it's dating. One of our focuses is like we
Right.
try to have the most efficient speed dating programs,
Oh, that's wow.
and like other activities. Something we want to pilot in the near future, which I heard about was really cool, is double date speed dating. Instead of 1-on-1, it's 2-on-2, and then people just have a much easier time.
Interesting.
So it's sort of like the lab for innovation of like trying new things that eventually we'd like to have spread and become commonplace.
Wow.
It's just like the years back. It's an interesting space to be
Yeah.
because initially you were just like Olim trying to live here, trying to make life better, and you're like, hey, like we'd like this to scale. We like this to reach more people, or we see that our friends and other people have the same need. When we started cameras, we're like, we need space. We're going to assume some other people need space. And a
Right.
lot of people needed space. A lot of people had dreams. I want to do a Big Lebowski night. I want to do an Iraqi heritage night. I just came back from India and I want to do this meditation workshop series. I want to do breath work. We had an event. I consider this the weirdest event that we had was this group who they practice singing a 2-minute song melody of some kind, and then they do it in a loop for 2 hours. So they come to do it faster, slower, higher, lower, change the style. But it's 2 hours of singing this melody in a loop. And I heard them, I left, I came back. I found that at the end of 2 hours, I was they're exhausted. Like they just ran a marathon.
I didn't know being my son was a profession.
It's, I'd say like also we've encountered some weird things along the way. But it's yeah, basically I think the summation of all this is you got to come for Shabbat. You bring stories back to where you go. It is not a place lacking Jewish life. There is an abundance, but I think in the Tel Aviv like spirit, you can do your thing. Other person does their thing next to you.
Yeah.
No one bothers each other. Very, very respectful on the whole, and so that's why I'm here. I can't think that there's no other play like it does it in its own Tel Aviv way.
It's very cool. That's very cool. I do like I love coming here during the week. I make as many excuses as possible to come here. Being someone who doesn't have time to really go places, like I make as many. There are so many times where I justify coming here, and I'm like, I should not have justified that one.
Well, we're gonna have you subletting here not too long. It's always it's the move. There is a move from Jerusalem, Tel Aviv. People first come to visit, come for Shabbos. They say, I'm just gonna sublet for 2 weeks, sublet for a month. Then they move here.
You know.
Like there are also people who go from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Like there's both, but it's like there's a saying. It's like if you're serious about your relationship and you want to get married, you go to Jerusalem.
Right.
If you want a job, you come to Tel Aviv. Now I'd say there's also a lot of people who find love in couples in Tel Aviv, and there's also jobs in Jerusalem. But like as a whole, there's like. The thing is that like there were people, but like probably 10, 15 years ago, people would make Aliyah to specific places, and now that map has rearranged. It's like sort of like
Gotcha.
Like Miami's an option, not just New York. So
right.
Tel Aviv is an option, not just Jerusalem. Things like that.
I hear that. Yeah, no, I hear that. I think for me, dating would be pretty difficult in Tel Aviv. It's also difficult in Jerusalem. I'm not going to say that it's easy there, but I think it would be harder for me here. It would be hard for me to keep my eye on the prize, I think.
Listen,
you never know.
Listen, for the man who knows how to follow up within yourself to be
that's
focused.
Good advice. That was great. That was great. And I guess, if I line up 5 happily married couples, they'll all give me a different story of how they met each other also. So I can't really know.
100%. There was a really beautiful story that sort of one of my life sentences was about Chris Evans, the actor who played Captain America and did a bunch of other things. They said that the way that he got his job in Hollywood, I heard this from someone, I hope it's accurate. The way Chris Evans got his job was that he worked for free as a secretary in the Actors Guild. And by being the secretary, he got to know everybody, so eventually was able to get himself roles.
Wow.
And that sort of supports the sentence, which is there's no road to Hollywood is the same. Every road is different. And I think the same thing when you hear stories of couples, like how these crazy things, like we just tried this experimental app that shut down the week after, but we just met each other. Or we happen to be leaving. I never go to clubs, and I was leaving at 11, and he came at 11:30, and we happened to intersect. So you never know. Maybe it's here in Tel Aviv. Maybe you came on this podcast just for me to tell you about Tel Aviv, so you could come here to find.
Never know. I would at this point. I wouldn't even be surprised anymore.
Yeah. It's definitely a fun thing. So I'm not sure how much more time we have, but I do want to sort of bring it back a little bit.
Yeah.
This is a lot of fun, and I would definitely say you're invited back in a year or two after you live in Tel Aviv, and you'll be like, wow, I remember that time I talked to Daniel. So I think for the Olim here, and I think for also we have people who are artists in our community, people starting out. For the Tefillin challenge, you said you have how many followers do you have at the moment?
It depends on which platform.
But on the one which you have the most.
Facebook's at 35,000.
35,000 on Facebook.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we talked about one of the previous times that we spoke was how you said don't discount Facebook as a platform. A lot of people are there, and find the right platform for you. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So there are a couple things that I noticed. I've been trying to build my social media for about 3.5 years. And there were always these moments. I was the most focused on Instagram, and I still believe it to be the most valuable platform for me. And I would watch people come and go. Like it was so discouraging because I was plugging 1 or 2 videos a day consistently. And everyone, Israel, everyone has advice for you. Everyone's telling me you have to choose a niche. I'm like, but I'm multifaceted. I don't want a niche. They're like, are you doing push-ups? I was like, I do that. Like, well, then do that. I was like, no, but I also make really silly jokes. They're like, well, do that. I was like, but that's not me either. I also talk about recovery because I'm sober. Let's still talk about that. I'm like, but neither of them defines me. So I'm not doing a niche. I'm going to become famous just for being famous. And the long story short, I'd watch people come onto the platform and become successful so fast. And it was very discouraging. I'd watch people start a brand new page and have 3, 4, 5,000 followers in a couple of weeks, and they're the hype, and everyone's talking about them. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And I always listen to that voice in my head that says, just keep doing, just don't, as long as you don't stop, you'll figure it out. That's the voice I listen to all the time. As long as you don't give up, you'll figure it out. And that's how I do my business, and that's how I do dating as well. Like I will never give up on finding love. I don't care how discouraged I get, because it's a policy. You don't give up on things. Same thing with business. People can move faster in business than me. I won't give up. I'll try to learn to move faster. I'll try to learn and improve, but I will not give up no matter what you do. And I will not give up on my social media. So I watched and I learned and I tried the niche. I tried doing only push-ups. Way too serious for me. Not me at all. And I got 3 slip discs now. So thank God I didn't go that route. I spoke to Daniel Scally, the guy who broke the world record. Like I told him I'm going to break his record. He wished me luck. He's a supportive guy. Like, thank God I didn't go down the dad joke thing. That was just too silly, and they're really stupid jokes. I'll be honest. Like, there's a reason kids laugh. Like, they're stupid jokes. The niche kind of showed up at my doorstep, like I explained before, right? The difference I do see with people that come in hot and then dissipate is a lack of consistency. The reason why I am constantly growing on my social media is because I keep showing up. I've seen people who have way better content than me, genuinely, like just who they are and the way they edit, phenomenal content. They come in hot, they get whatever, discouraged, this, that. They get haters or their account gets suspended for a day or two and they disappear. That's the only reason why they weren't successful at it. With regards to the platform, it's like any type of allocating your assets. You try a few different things, whichever one brings you the most money, you'll focus on the most. So I'm nowhere near the success I want in social media. So I'm posting on all the platforms and I'm watching the way they work. I'm watching each one until I get it. Facebook was temporary. I'm not growing fast there anymore. It was the AI videos that I made. I was using Sora. That's not available anymore. And Facebook's not impressed by AI anymore. They're just not impressed by it. So that was a one-time thing. I got a big following fast. Now it's maintained. It's good. It's fantastic. I'm still building on it. But now the success is starting to come from Instagram. Now that's growing faster. TikTok just woke up last week. I don't know why. Like after 2 years of quiet. I don't know what's happening, but we're going to see. The most important thing is the consistency. Like just show up, whether it's 2 reels a week, 3 reels a week, or 1 a day, whatever it is. Just don't stop. Just don't stop. And with that comes all of the other issues. When you're consistent, all of the other issues, like being shy in front of a camera, being bad at editing, they all improve automatically. You don't have to focus on them. Just keep showing up consistently.
All right. Yeah. So I want us to close. Do you have 2 tips for Olim, 2 tips for Olim coming to Israel, practical tips you think could be applied?
Yeah, 2 things. Number 1, a lot of people who consider making Aliyah try to get a job before they come here as their way of beating the system. Unfortunately, I have not seen that to ever happen. I spoke to one recruiter who saw it happen one time, and she's been in the business for years. Not a great way to start. Better to learn the tools before you come here, and then come here and just implement them fast. The other tool is for every English-speaking gold mine of a person you find here, there are 30 Israelis who have that amount of connections, that amount of knowledge. Break your teeth with Israelis just to get advice, because they are a lot better connected than the average English speaker here, and it's about time we merged.
All right. And what are 2 tips for creators?
creators is that weird side of you that you don't want anybody to see. That's what's going to get you clicks. Whether it's aggressive, negative, stupid, silly, whatever you think it is, it's going to speak to people in a way that other people can't, and that's going to get you the clicks. And like I said, consistency. Don't let a slow roll stop you. Just don't let it stop you.
All right. Very cool. So I want to thank you for coming on Kerem Talks. This was went a lot of directions, but I think that's a beautiful thing about just like eye contact, chilling with people.
Yeah.
I also think it's pretty crazy these days that if you want to have a good conversation with someone with the craziness of business life, like I would say,
put a microphone,
build a podcast, and you'll actually get to talk to someone looking at them for like a half hour that you don't really get to do in any other place. It's like I think like this is like a lesson I'm realizing. Like I'm really appreciating from these talks. I get to hang out with like cool people, sometimes with friends.
Yeah.
And talk about things we don't otherwise. Like wow.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say everyone should get a podcast just so you can hang out with your friends uninterrupted. Actually, but Mr. Beast did a video of like $1 date to like $1 million date with his fiance, and he's like, one of the reasons she's in this video is because we get to hang out like we don't normally. So on that note, I want to say like thanks a bunch for coming by. This was a lot of fun, and I hope we'll have you on in the future after you live in Tel Aviv, maybe on day 600 or whatever. And keep doing your stuff. Like really, there's some really good lessons here. Everyone, this is Shmulie Weissler. How do people find you?
I'm Sam KOBK on Instagram, and the website to find a job is cruitie.com. That's CRUITIE.com. It's really easy to find. And
Tefillin Challenge, how do we find that?
That's on my personal Instagram, Sam KOBK.
All right.
It's all
there you have it. So thanks for joining us on Kerem Talks, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.